is a friendship that'll never ever end.
When the camera is on, you know me as Robert. But when this is showing, I am the face of the true crime cult. Let's get down to it. What do we know so far in the Brian Koberger case? It's been 2 years of waiting and prosecutor corruption. This Friday, they'll set his trial date up, hopefully. And if they do, then we won't hear anything else about the case until it goes to trial this summer. So what do we do in the meantime? We look for different court cases, like the Delphi case or the Lori Vallow Daybell case that's coming up in Arizona. And there's always the Chad Daybell case that's also in Idaho. But the Idaho 4 case is the biggest case in history. And how do we know this? Look at all the corruption going on right now behind the scenes there in Idaho. You've got possible drug trafficking. You've got corruption. You've got possible obstruction of justice from the roommates in the college. What is a person to do in this case? Personally, I think BK should go free because clearly he's the patsy in all of this. Now just sit back and think to yourselves, are they going to murder him anyway? Is he going to die anyway via the death penalty, whether it's lethal injection or the firing squad? Why so serious, guys? Why hide everything? I tell you why they're hiding everything. They don't have nothing on Brian. That's why they keep pushing out his trial dates. Is because they know their evidence is bunk. Why do you think they won't turn over the evidence to the defense team? Why do you think they keep fighting turning over the evidence, especially the IGG? That's why Ann Taylor had to file 12 different motions of discovery because the prosecution will not turn over the IGG. And why haven't they had the other 3 unknown male DNAs tested? Is it because they already have their patsy? Nobody knows what's going on in the minds of the prosecutors. Are they being paid off by somebody? Maybe the real culprits? Is the college complicit with drug trafficking and turning a blind eye? Are the 2 surviving roommates complicit by not calling 911 until noon? Ann Taylor is going to have a heyday with Dylan if she testifies in the Koberger case. Ann Taylor will rip her to shreds on the witness stand because it's going to come back. Hey, why didn't you call 911 for 8 hours, Dylan? What are you trying to hide, Dylan? And why? And why did everyone in that college town know about the murders before the cops and before the parents? The murders were the talk of the town at 8:30 in the morning. Hunter Johnson is the one that found the bodies. Why didn't he call right then? Maybe they had to get their story straight, guys. I mean, that house was a party house / drug house / trap house. Maybe the reason the sororities were called first was so they could get the drugs out of the house, so the surviving roommates wouldn't get in trouble. Oh, boo-hoo. We're going to get in trouble because we have drugs in the house, guys. Let's get everything out and get our stories straight before we call the cops. Maybe that's why Bethany don't want to come back, because she knows there's an obstruction of justice charge waiting for her, or maybe a drug charge. We never thought about that. That's why she's fighting the subpoena so hard. Is because she knows what really happened in the house. She knows that BK is innocent. Both her and Dylan are complicit because they didn't call 911 when they heard their roommates being murdered. They were texting back and forth while the murders were taking place, guys. What are you trying to hide, Bethany? What are you trying to hide, Dylan? Are you afraid that your drug connections to the house will be found out? And where does Emma fit into all this? Emma and Demetrius were charged with murder in the death of that Idaho student for a drug overdose. Look what happened to them. Their charges were dismissed without prejudice. And what's up with the Christ Church and Doug Wilson? No quarter in November? What is that really about, guys? What does that really entail? In the video, he was burning the signs of TikTok, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, Elsa, and the Little Mermaid. And then at the end, he burned that drone. Is he really afraid he's being surveilled, guys? Why would you be afraid of being surveilled unless you're hiding something? Me and the rest of the content creators, we will get to the bottom of this. Introduce a little anarchy to the established order, and everything becomes chaos. I'm an agent of chaos. I think the prosecution is an agent of chaos. I think the judge possibly could be an agent of chaos. Poor Brian. He's surrounded by sharks. Ann Taylor, an alumni of the U of I. The judge, an alumni of the U of I. The prosecutor, an alumni of the U of I. The coroner, an alumni of the U of I. She's also a professor of law at the alumni and at the college. She also owns her own law business there in Moscow. So does the president of U of I, Scott Green. And his is international law. Why would you open a law office of international law there in Moscow, Idaho? Gee, is it to protect drug traffickers? Is it to get them off if they do something wrong? We don't know. But we want to know, don't we? It wasn't Robert's idea to change the name of his channel to True Crime Cult. It was mine. I'm the one that gave him the idea for the name change. Because together, we're going to get to the bottom of everything. We're going to get to the bottom of the Idaho poor case. We're going to get to the bottom of the Delphi case. We're going to get to the bottom of the Lori Vallow Daybell case is coming up in Arizona. And the Chad Daybell case. Those two together, my God, they put a smile on my face. Of all the chaos they sowed in Arizona and Idaho, these are a couple of sick puppies. Lori Vallow Daybell killing her kids. And then Chad Daybell killing his wife. And then the two run off to Hawaii and have a vacation, knowing the deeds that they did. My. What a twisted couple. Look at the landlords that owned 1122 King Road and the surrounding houses. They're a couple of twisted individuals. Dan Estee was laundering money through the entire block that he owned. And it was coming back clean to him as rent. And what happened after the murders? The house was worth $250,000. And what did he do? He turned it over to the university. And then he let go of all the other surrounding properties. And one of the properties is now owned by Megan Moy and her family. And the guy on the Banfield, Saeed, he owns his own bungalow complex. That's why he said his apartment was literally less than 4 minutes away, because it was true. He owns his own bungalow apartment complex. The day after the murders, quite a lot of people got rid of their properties. An Asian guy who owned the Queen Road apartments got rid of his apartments to somebody else. Eagle Investments, which is in California. My. What a truly twisted world we live in, guys. Corruption, money laundering, obstruction of justice, cultish like churches. This is all going on in Moscow, guys. And everyone, everyone is complicit. From Bethany and Dylan all the way up to the prosecutor. Mr. Prosecutor, why don't you get those 3 unknown male DNAs tested? Huh? And on the night of the murders, do we really know if the girls were calling Jack D? Could they have been calling Jack S? And why, oh why, were they so quick to clear Jack D, Dylan, Bethany? And why, oh why, was Kaylee Gonzalez's parents the only ones speaking out? Where were the Kernodles? Where was the Mogans? Where was the Chapins? They were all silent. Steve G and Christy were the only ones on camera speaking out, while everyone else remained in the shadows. Why so serious, guys? The Mogans, the Kernodles, and the Chapins, they have something to hide. And why were the Gonzaleses and the Kernodles the only ones speaking out about the house being torn down? They wanted it saved till after the trial. But the Chapins and the Mogans wanted it gone. Why do you guys think that is? Why are only 2 of the families wanting the house saved and the other 2 want it gone? Don't give me this. We need to collectively heal as a community. You could have collectively healed as a community after the trial. Now, the only way the jurors can see the house is through 3D renderings in Oculus glasses. It's not the same, guys. It's truly not the same. You can't hear the creak of the floor. You can't hear the echoes. But the prosecutor said the feel of the house has changed. How can the feel of a house change? And the look of the house has changed. Guys, I honestly think the prosecutor is blowing smoke up all of our asses. Because they know their evidence, if they turn it over to Ann Taylor, will get shot full of holes. And poor Brian, he's been sitting in jail almost 2 years. He wants transparency in the trial. He wants everything unsealed. Now, why is the prosecution sealing everything? What are you trying to hide, Mr. Prosecutor? My oh my, what are you trying to hide? Having everything sealed. Oh, they even subpoenaed a search warrant for all of Kaylee's Reddit posts and Reddit account. And they sealed that as well. So, why are you wanting Kaylee's Reddit posts? That just doesn't sit well. Is this part of a much bigger investigation, guys? And why did they have all the financial records for Ethan, Xana, Maddie, and Kaylee subpoenaed? Do they know something we don't? It just makes you wonder. It makes you wonder exactly what's really going on in Moscow, Idaho, guys. You have 4 dead college students who they claim were innocent. You have possible drug connections to the house, care of DM, BF, and EB. You have widespread corruption at the college. I'm not trying to defame the victims here. I'm really not. But shit just doesn't add up. How did Kaylee afford to buy a Land Rover, which I'm not sure it costs almost $50K? How did Maddie, Xana, and Ethan, how did they all have brand new cars? Maddie was working for a minimum wage at Mad Creek. So was Xana. You can't buy a brand new car on minimum wage. And Ethan was driving a brand new Jeep. And if you look at Dylan and Bethany, I'm not sure if they had brand new cars. I'm not even sure if they drove. But Dylan's boyfriend, Quinn, he had a brand new black truck, which was seen several times in videos the night of the murder. One driving past the cul-de-sac near Linda Lane. One driving back to Banfield, picked up by the officer's cam. And then there was the 4 or 5 people running away from the house around 3:15 in the morning, running back towards the sorority Sigma Chi. That was odd to see 5 people running like hell. Maybe the Sigma Chi had something to do with the murders, because Ethan got into it with one of the Sigma Chi members the night of the murders, because one of them was hitting on his girlfriend Xana. My oh my, what a tangled web we weave in the city of Moscow. Everything, guys, even the timeline, it don't fit right. And why would Katie call Kaylee at 10 a.m. when she knew she was dead? That's what stumps me. She set on 2020 and said she called Kaylee at 10 a.m., knowing that it was already spread throughout the community there in Moscow, that there was deceased students in the home. And everyone knew at 8:30. You had Snapchats blowing up at 8:30, claiming that there was a murder in the house at 1122 King Road. And why did nobody get a hold of Kaylee's parents until later? Jack D didn't call the parents to let them know what had happened. He called to get the dog from them, but he didn't call and ask about Kaylee. All he cared about was that damned dog, Murphy. It makes you think, guys. It really does make you think. Then you have the PCA, which was written up by Brett Payne. And why isn't Bethany mentioned just one time in the PCA where it says they downloaded the data off of her phone and off of Dylan's phone? And what's this 8 hours of frozen shock phase? When they clearly was no frozen shock phase. Dylan opened her door 3 times that night. If you can hear crying coming from Xana's room and someone going, "It's okay, I'm here to help you," shouldn't you call 911? I know I would call 911. And then she went on to say that she thought it was Gonzalez who she heard saying, someone's here. Gonzalez was on the third floor with Maddie. Now, why, if Gonzalez had her own room, why was she sleeping in the same bed with Maddie? I don't think Gonzalez was even living there. She stayed there for the weekend to visit her best friend / sister Maddie. She was taking her final exam on Monday, then leaving for Texas right after that. I think there were some people pissed off that Kaylee was leaving, the lifestyle that they tried to get her into. And I think that this whole murder scenario was not a crime of passion, as Chief Fry keeps saying. I think it was a vendetta because the mainstream media was slanting everything in a particular way. The mainstream media cut out the part where Jackass looked at Maddie when they were walking down the street from the corner club to the grub truck. They're going to get you, Matt. They're going to get you guys. The mainstream media cut that part out. Why? So they wouldn't have to report on it. And that's when Kaylee said, what did you tell Adam, Maddie? I told Adam everything. And that's when Jackass said, they're going to get you guys. I think this was a combination of drugs, corruption, and a vendetta because they didn't want Kaylee leaving. Kaylee tried to get out. It was Dylan who pulled her back in. And when Dylan found out she was moving to Texas, 9 times out of 10, Dylan was pissed off. If you look at all those pictures, when Dylan is standing next to Kaylee, she's not smiling. She looks pissed off. She has a smirk. Same with Bethany. But when Dylan and Bethany took a picture together, they both were smiling. They didn't smile when they were standing next to the Forest Lane, Idaho students. They both had resting bitch face. And why was Ethan killed? Was he killed because he was trying to get Xana out of that life that he knew she was involved in? He wanted to take her away from that house? Is that why he was killed? Or was he killed because he was trying to defend his girlfriend? We will never know, guys. Oh no, we will never know. just like the trial coming up this summer. Will they push it out again? Because they know their evidence is flimsy as fuck. Are they trying to get Brian to cop a plea where he spends the rest of his life in prison? Because in the state of Idaho, when you get sentenced to life in prison, it is without the possibility of parole. And guys, I can't see poor Brian standing up there in front of a firing squad. He's a criminology student, or was. He was going for his PhD in criminology. I don't think after a decade in forensics and criminology, he would be stupid enough to leave a knife sheath behind with his touch DNA. And even the FBI has debunked some of these cell phone pings that the prosecution are saying is around the house. Quite a few of them, the FBI has stated, was in Moscow, not around the house. He is vegan. He doesn't like to touch garbage or trash. That's why he wears gloves. He doesn't eat meat. And the Mad Greek there in Moscow serves some vegan dishes. Could it be when his cell phone pinged in Moscow, he was visiting the Mad Greek to get something to eat? And what about that lady that appeared that has defamed Brian Koberger? That she went out on a few dates with him. Now, honestly, guys, if he's this vicious and mad killer that killed 4 students in Idaho, wouldn't he kill her too when she rejected him and made fun of him? If he was such a brutal and vicious killer, would she still be breathing? I think not. I really think not. I think she just wanted her 10 minutes of fame so she could get her face out there. I dated the killer of the Idaho 4, Brian Koberger. I went on a few dates with him. This is how he acted. He gave me the creeps. Lies. It's all lies. They know who the real killer is. They have their patsy. Did you ever wonder why a bunch of people got cleared so quickly? Dylan, Bethany, Jack D, Hunter Johnson. And why, when you call 911, seeing all the blood in Maddie's room, in Xana's room, clearly you knew something happened with all the blood and the dead students. Why in the fuck would you call in a unconscious person? Why didn't you just say, hey, we have some people dead here in the house. Come quick. Instead of, oh yeah, we have some unconscious people here. They're not responding. They're not responding, you dumb shit, because they're dead. I don't believe Dylan's take on what happened that night. I think the PCA is horse shit. Why were her and Bethany texting back and forth while their roommates were being slaughtered? Answer me that. Justice for the Idaho Poor. Xana, Kaylee, Maddie, Ethan. There was more people involved that night than they're letting on. And now supposedly Dylan's father made the statement that she was so affected the night of the murders, she will not go out and do anything socially. She stays in the house and plays video games. Really? You expect us to believe that horse shit? Then how come she was spotted at the Pi Beta Phi sorority house partying? Gee, for somebody who don't like to go out and do social stuff anymore and stay in and play video games, why are you at your sorority house partying? And this still baffles me, guys. Why? Oh, why? Call the sororities and the fraternity first instead of the cops. And why did everybody in Moscow know about the murders before the cops and before the families? Gee, maybe that's why the Gonzalez family and the Kernodle family is possibly suing the city of Moscow, the college, and the MPD. Yes, they have retained a multi-million-dollar class action lawsuit against the city, the college, and the police. And in one of the clauses in the lawsuit is wrongful death of Kaylee. Why? Why though? Are they being paid off to keep everything hidden? Are the drug traffickers or the cartel or whoever it is giving the college kickback money to keep it quiet? Oh, well, we'll give you all this money and you can use it for whatever you want. Just keep our name out of your mouth. Are they doing the same thing with the Latah County Prosecutor's Office? Are they doing the same thing with the Moscow Police Department? This case, guys, it be royally fucked up. I constantly hear free BK, free BK, BK. Possibly could be sacrificed. He could be a lamb led to the slaughter just for these people to keep their secrets in the dark. And like they always say, what's in the darkness shall be brought to the light. Please like, subscribe, and comment. And if you want to become a joining member of the True Crime Cult, after this court case on Friday to set up Brian's trial, everything on the Koberger case will be laid dormant until his trial this summer. But we will keep covering court cases like Delphi and some of the other high-name court cases going on. Y'all have a good Sunday. And remember, what's so serious, guys? And show some of your Joker friends some love.